Yo, what's going down, y'all? It's your homie Jay Green, and I'm about to give you my thoughts and feelings on the brand new Brad Pitt, Javier Bardem film, F1. Now, as I said before, this movie stars Brad Pitt, Javier Bardem, Kelly Condon, Damson Idris, and not only was it directed by Joseph Kosinski, but it also has story credit by Joseph Kosinski. And this is the same guy that brought us movies like Top Gun Maverick, Tron Legacy, which I love, and Oblivion starring Tom Cruise. And the one thing that Tron Legacy and Oblivion share in common, one, maybe not as well received, but two, beautiful. Just like Top Gun Maverick and just like this film. And this movie was also written by Ehren Kruger, if I'm saying his name correctly, I hope, who also has writing credits on Top Gun Maverick, The Ring, Arlington Road. If you haven't seen that one, check it out, pretty dope, and Dumbo. Bottom line, from top to bottom, this movie should be fly as hell. Am I right? And I'm happy to tell you that it is. My God, I just got out of this movie and it was super dope. Look, simply put, Brad Pitt, retired-ish, if you will, race car driver, pulled out of retirement to help out Javier Bardem's team, where he has this rookie in Damson Idris who needs a little bit of mentorship, a little bit of help, and hopefully Brad Pitt is going to be able to pull the team out of a slump. For half the season, they have not been doing too well, and he's hoping that at least by the end of the season, they can place in a few races, hopefully in a way to keep him sitting at the high table, if you will, so that the board doesn't kick him to the curb at the end of the season. Now first, let's talk about directing. Joseph Kosinski is using some of the same skill set and technique that he, let's say, developed and or mastered in Top Gun Maverick with F1. So if you felt like when you were watching Top Gun Maverick, you were literally in the cockpit, you're gonna feel the same way when you're watching F1. Between the camera work, how he decided to film these races, you're literally placed in the action. It's phenomenal and it is beautiful. The DP was Claudio Miranda. So he also did Top Gun Maverick, Life of Pi, Oblivion. This guy makes images gorgeous on the silver screen, and he's doing it again with F1. This is definitely a film based on that alone you got to see on the big screen, especially if you are a fan of any type of motorsports, but mainly F1. Now, speaking about the story and the plot points, what I really love that Joseph Kosinski and Ehren Kruger did was they built character arcs and development well into Damson Idris's character and Brad Pitt's character. Each of them have a backstory. Damson Idris, a little bit lighter of a backstory. Brad Pitt, heavier of a backstory. They give us some of those breadcrumbs to that backstory, but they never fully develop it in the sense that they're telling us specifically this happened, that happened, here's who did this, here's who did what, right? We get enough of it to kind of formulate our own understanding of what that backstory was, but because of the fact is they never fully lay it out, we're kind of guessing and wondering, where is this character's story gonna go, that character's story gonna go. Same thing with their engineers or the pit crew director or whatever their titles are. They were able to give a little bit of lightweight story to these characters, so we cared about those characters in general, but then also explain to us with the right type of exposition what's really going on. And I say, let's talk about that real quick. I say the right type of exposition because sometimes in films there is heavy exposition because they want the audience to be along with the ride, and you're gonna have to explain a little something to us. I feel like in this movie, when I say the right type of exposition, because it's a race car movie, you're gonna have announcers, you're gonna have the race car driver themselves speaking to the pit crew, speaking to the engineers and the mechanics about how the car is moving and driving and shaking or not doing this in a turn or whatever it may be. And I felt that the way that they wrote the dialogue between the characters and the way that they showcased the races along with the announcers, you know, kind of talking, letting us know who's taking the lead, maybe what the actual driver is doing as a way to strategize themselves, being able to place better in this particular lap or whatever it is. I feel like it was super smooth. It felt realistic to as if you were watching a legitimate race, or if you're a gamer out there and you're someone who plays these games often, I feel like it would feel like that type of a format. Again, I am no gamer, I don't follow the races often, but as a person who watches a lot of movies and feels sometimes like exposition is a bit too heavy for no real reason, and sometimes there wasn't enough of it, or sometimes it was right on the nose, I feel like this was right on the nose, perfectly placed, perfectly situated in the action, never took me out of the film, so it just added to my understanding of what was going on in each and every race, where they were placed, what needed to be done, how it needed to be done, and what conflicts, if you will, were taking place between the drivers and for what reasons based on car mechanics and all this stuff. There's a lot going on, and I think that it takes a quality writing team, a great director, and obviously the actors to sell all of that. And I feel like the entire team that put this movie in place did their job. Another thing that I really enjoyed about this movie is that it plays by legitimate rules. And what I mean by that is it creates its universe, right? And it doesn't take you outside of that universe for something that would be unbelievable if it was like a character's action or reaction to a certain thing, or what these race cars can or can't do. They give us the understanding of what they can and can't do, what rules and regulations they have to make these cars do what they're doing. And based on what these characters are going through and who they are as people, they have their own traits, quirks, characteristics, and all that sort of stuff. And all the way up until the end of the film, you'd be like, yo, I thought dude would have did this or dude would have did that. And then they don't do that thing that we as the audience members may think that is justified, but it just doesn't make sense to that character. Case in point, Dumb and Dumber, Jim Carrey, Jeff Daniels, classic comedy, super great, right? In the end of that movie, they're supposed to get on that bus with those beautiful busty ladies to oil them down for months on end while they're going on their little road shows and whatnot. But then Jim Carrey is like, look, these guys are so dumb, they wouldn't do that. So what happens? They get off the bus. Classic scene, right? Classic scene in all of cinema. The actors said the characters wouldn't do that. And then they played by those rules. And this movie does that. And I freaking love that because, again, you had every right to go off the deep end with some stuff that's jumping off in this movie. And they don't do it. They keep that grounded and it's still super exciting. Hell yeah. So there's really not much else for me to tell you about this film other than reiterating story was on point, directing was on point, action was on point. There's enough suspense to keep you gripping the edge of your seat, wondering what's gonna happen around the next turn, no pun intended, and get you a little choked up, maybe a little misty-eyed in a couple of parts. Not to mention, the score is phenomenal by Hans Zimmer, by the way. This movie is made for the big screen, and I'm urging y'all to go and check it out, especially because it lends itself pretty well to a sequel just based on the nature of car racing movies in general. And if you watch one of my recent physical media videos that I just dropped, I just got Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise. And as I said in that video, Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt go way back, all the way to Interview with the Vampire. So the fact that race car drivers can hop from team to team or circuit to circuit, whatever they call it, the point is those two could cross paths, and they've been talking about it. And because Joseph Kosinski has worked with both Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, right? I don't see why that can't happen. So I'm urging y'all to go check this one out in the movie theater, biggest screen possible, because I think it was a damn good time at the movie theater. You'll enjoy it. But at the same time, if it makes enough money, potentially get a sequel crossover with Cole Trickle and Sonny Hayes. Who knows? Anyway, I hope I gave y'all enough to be a little interested in this film. I hope y'all check it out. And if you do, comment below and let me know what y'all thought. Your homie, Jay Green, I'm out.